Listen, inflation isn't as complicated as most people try to make it to be. Well, okay, maybe it's a little bit. Well, keep watching this video because in the next 10 minutes, you'll know everything you need to know about it. Well, almost everything. All right, number one, inflation is just corrupt government, okay? The truth is, like, when it comes to inflation, it's only happening because government keeps printing more and more money. The treasuries gets involved. We also got the Federal Reserve involved, right? They just keep printing more money. The problem is the government keeps spending more. Well, how do you get this to work? Well, if you allow more printing of money, this allows the government to spend more money because they create more inflation. This also helps them be able to never pay back their debt, right? Because if you keep driving up inflation, guess what? If they're being charged a low interest rate on their debt, well, if inflation goes up more than what they're charging on their debt, they're actually making money on it. So believe it or not, the governments do not actually want to pay off their debt. They actually like to not have it paid off. So that's what I mean by corrupt government. It doesn't mean that the government's completely is going to try to destroy your life. I'm not saying that. It just means that they're irresponsible, right? They really just want to keep driving this up. So just so you know, when they talk about fighting inflation, they really don't want to fight inflation. They actually love inflation. They love it every time. If you aren't sure about that, even FDR, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the Great Depression, he was being a hero. He's coming in. Do you remember when they were confiscating gold? They made it illegal to actually hold gold for several decades because of that. Now, what did they tell people? They said, listen, you got to turn in all your gold for 20 bucks an ounce. Turn it all in. So everybody that was good citizens of the country trying to be in it together. I hate that phrase now, right? We're all in this together. Stupid. Well, they had that same kind of phrase back in the Great Depression too. They all turned in their gold, and guess what? The government then said, gold is now worth 35 bucks an ounce, and now we can start spending more money. Because why? You just gave them all that gold. They basically bought it for 20 bucks, and now it almost doubled in value. Hey, they got more money, yay! That's what they did. So that's what I mean by corrupt government, is they're often trying to use this as a way, inflation really is a way to manipulate and spend more money. Now, not much we can do about government inflating our money, but there are ways we can protect against inflation. But we'll talk about that at the end of this video. All right, number two, money printing. I kind of mentioned this already, right? But that's a big reason why we have inflation. The Treasury keeps printing more money. The more money they print, the worse it gets. Think of it like this. Think that you got a nice, beautiful glass of orange juice, and you say, I want more orange juice. But the server that's at the restaurant comes by and says, oh, you want more? Here you go. And she takes water and pours it in your cup and fills it up. Now, you know it's still orange, sort of, but she just filled it up with more water. It doesn't mean you have any more nutrients. It doesn't mean you have any more vitamin C, right? It just means that they added more water to it. This is what the government does. This is what the Treasury does. And the feds, when they're printing more money, they're really just adding more water to it. This is why the money devalues. This is why paper money, when it's not backed by any real asset, they call it fiat currency, right? When it's not backed by that, that's why it's so common to see that money depleting to eventually down to zero. Now, is the US dollar going to deplete to zero? I'm not saying we're going to be like Zimbabwe with, or Venezuela, where there's like millions of percent inflation. That's not going to happen here, okay? That's more happening to countries that don't have that kind of control like the US has. But it has happened in other countries. And if you're in another country watching this right now, just be aware that the more they print that money, the worse it gets. They're really not adding more value. Just because there's more money doesn't mean it's worth more. It's just printing more. Well, that just naturally drives up inflation because when more money goes into circulation, it goes crazy. If you weren't sure about that, you already have seen this in your own life. Look at 2020, 2021, 2022. Remember what prices were doing then? It was going crazy. They were pumping massive amounts, record amounts of money into our economy, pumping it in. That's not because we made more money. No, they were printing and shoving more money in money supply, as they call it. They were throwing more money supply into that bucket, that barrel. Well, that bucket, that barrel of our economy, when you start throwing all that money in, it's got to go somewhere. People are figuring out what to do. It drove all the prices up. This is why we literally found our inflation. They said it was like, maybe almost 10% a year. We know that's bull. We know that easily in the last few years, we probably have seen at least a 25% increase in inflation. Heck, you hire a contractor, and now all the contractors want double the pay that they wanted before. It's insane. House prices went insane. All this went insane because they kept printing more money. They're trying to throw that money in to stimulate something, but all they did is create a bigger bubble. You know, if you're blowing a little bubble, you blow little bubbles and it goes pop, you know. Well, imagine what happens when you blow a bigger bubble. How big is that gonna be pop? It's gonna be all over your face, gets in your hair, and you're trying to pull it out, and you have your sister trying to put peanut butter and stuff in it, and they have to chop off your hair and all that stuff. Okay, anyways, I'm going off the topic here. Really, regardless of say, we got a big bubble popping because of money printing that's been happening. Hey, and since you're still watching right now and you're wondering about how much hair I've had cut out of my hair, you'd like a lot of my other videos on this channel, so smash that subscribe button right now. All right, number 3, government and Federal Reserve prefer inflation. They want this. Remember I mentioned that they have debt. They have what's called bonds, government debt. Those bonds are essentially debt that people invest in. They buy the government's debt. Now they'll pay a certain interest rate. Well, if inflation's higher, right, the value of the dollar is going down more. So let's just say that inflation's 5%, but the debt they're paying is 3%. This is true for you. If you've got, say, a 3% loan, but inflation's going by 5%, guess what? Over time, your debt gets cheaper. It's losing 2%, isn't it? You just made 2% on money that wasn't even yours in the first place. Governments prefer inflation. They talk about fighting inflation, but they really want it. So this is a real question for you because they're going to be driving inflation up whether you like it or not. What can you do to protect against inflation? The best thing you can possibly do is be in things that are inflation resistant or even inflation friendly, right? What are things that actually do better with inflation? Well, one, I will tell you this, just to start, if you're looking at a baseline of what to do, is get your expenses down low, right? And I don't mean you have to cut off everything joyous out of your life. Not like Marie Kondo where she says you can bring you joy. I'm not saying you get rid of everything that brings you joy. I'm not saying that. I want you to be able to trim the fat, right? Because inflation's gonna be here. It's gonna be for a little while. You wanna make sure you get your expenses down as low as you can get it while still enjoying your life, okay? So be responsible, a wise steward of your money because inflation is gonna happen. And especially if you don't have control of your income, we'll get to that in a second, that's one issue that you can have. In fact, let me just get to that income right now. Income is the one thing you can do. Warren Buffett even said this last year. He said, hey, what are things you can do for inflation? He says, increase your income. Now, some people say, oh, come on, that's the dumb reason, or that's a dumb answer, because who can just increase their income? You can. You can actually do that. Focus instead of asking how to make more money, ask instead. In fact, erase that question out of your brain. Don't even ask, how do I make more money? Ask instead, what can I do to create more value for more people? How can I serve people? How can I solve problems for them? What can I do for them that creates a win-win where money is a natural exchange? This has worked for many of my clients. I had one client that worked in a bank and he was hoping to get a promotion, but there was literally over 100 candidates gunning for 2 positions. Now he knew this promotion would pay him at least $3,000 or $4,000 or more a month. So he was wondering how to get it. I said, go to your boss and ask them, what can I do to get this, to earn this raise? Or to earn not just the raise, earn the promotion. Well, they said, if you sell this kind of product, right? It was sell this banking product, we'll give it to you. I told him for the next 3 weeks until you get to that deadline, go hard. Even if it means you're staying an extra hour after work just to get those numbers in, do it. He did it. He got the job. Here's what's crazy. They called him into their office. They said, do you want to know why we gave you the position? He said, why? They said, it's not because you're the #1 sales guy on our team. We actually gave that to the other position, that other guy. You actually weren't the best, but you were the only one out of over 100 candidates that asked us, how can I earn this promotion? They said, that impressed us so much, we wanted to make sure you got it. Guys, that makes a real difference in your life. Focus on increasing your income. Speaking of income, passive income is a great way to fight against inflation. I like passive income in real assets, real true assets, right? Things that actually pay you. So I love real estate. Real estate is an inflation fighting hedge. What's even better is that not only can real estate and real assets like that fight inflation, but they can also pay you income. So you can get that money working for you. Not only can you increase your value, but you also get paid money. This is why I don't even worry about the values, but it's nice that the values go up with inflation anyways. So I make money on that end and I'm still getting paid all the time. Passive income is one of the best ways to fight inflation by increasing that income as well. Guys, real assets, asset-backed things, don't go for the stuff that's like the stocks and the Bitcoins and all that stuff. They're not inflation fighters. Even gold and silver, they can be good. But I'm telling you, cash flow is #1. Passive income is the thing that protects you the most, protected me, and has protected many of my clients from going broke as inflation's gone up. Guys, if you thought this was great, check out this next video, how to invest in stocks as a teenager.